Indeed, we're here in the boot room. Arlo, David, thank you very much indeed. And Harry Kane, of course, is our topic of conversation. Interesting, Robbie Mustoe, that David's information as of now, or coming into the weekend, is that he will start on the bench. You both yesterday felt that would be the decision, and that's because you think that would be the right choice?
Yeah, I think he's been training, hasn't he, recently? I know he was a little bit late back in a few days. It just makes sense to me. I don't think we're going to see him, given what's going on and given the numbers involved. But it would make sense that he's on the bench for this game, yeah.
Robbie?
I think it's a statement there for Spurs, Rebecca, to almost go, he's ours. And if you want him, pay the 150 or more, as David seems to be alluding there, and you'll get him. And it's another Spurs saga that, unfortunately, we're not talking about their football and their title hopes. We're talking about where Kane goes and where they are. And my thought going into this is Spurs have got themselves in this position because they haven't invested in their football club at the right times. So Harry Kane now is looking at, I've got to go somewhere else to get what I want. Harry Kane, ideally, would like to stay at Spurs and challenge for titles and play in the Champions League. But he's not going to get that. And at 28 years of age, the England captains decided he wants to move.
Interesting that David said that Manchester City have to sell in order to buy Harry Kane, but at the moment nobody wants their players. So is it really a foregone conclusion, in your opinion, Robbie, that Harry Kane will become a Manchester City player at the end of August? It's
not a foregone conclusion. I still think it's going to happen. And with financial fair play in tatters. Like, it's in tatters, isn't it? I mean, what, are they even getting checked for some of these deals now, what we're seeing?
Well, Pep Guardiola did say coming into the weekend they are, and that he was quite strong about this, and that's why he said we have to sell before we can buy. So who's going to buy his players, though? They're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive. I mean, they can still buy Harry Kane and try and do some sales after that to try and get a little bit of money on the other side of the balance sheet. But, I don't think that's going to stop Man City trying to get him, Rebecca. And the whole saga... It frustrates me. No matter what it does to the manager, to the fans of the football club, they can't move on. The manager can't plan a team. They can't think about replacements. They can't think about building a new side. Is Kane going to be part of it? Is he not going to be part of it? David's saying there that I wouldn't be surprised if he's still there at the end of the window. You know, we know this gentleman's agreement or whatever it is, and a lot of people don't like it. I happen to think there's something in that. When you speak to your chairman or your owner and you you sign a new contract that, you know what, at some point I'm going to want to move on. Listen, I know the ideal is to put a release clause in there like Jack Grealish had, who's got, I guess, experienced agents. Charlie Kane is Harry Kane's agent that didn't get a release clause put in there. Hence, we have all this kind of unpleasantness, uncertainty. I feel bad for the player. And this is a one-off for me because I'm on Harry Kane's side here of what he's done for that football club from 11 years of age.
But he signed a contract, Robin. An improved contract for 6 years. So there's 3 left. So if you sign a contract, you know that there's a chance Daniel Levy's not going to sell you, right?
Wow, yeah, OK. So that's the sort of relationship that players want.
Well, then think of what's going to happen if Kane stays. He's not a sulker. He's not going to not turn up and training. But you lose a value. His career, he's going to look at his career, Rebecca, and he's going to regret what he's done. He's going to regret that he hasn't been able to win the silverware because Spurs look nowhere near some of the top 4 teams we've seen.
But does he have to take some responsibility? You talked about his agent, his brother Charlie and his dad as well.
Absolutely.
Is there a naivety to the contract he signed a few years ago without, as Robbie said, the break clause, without like Jack Grealish had?
I don't think you would be getting the same money for Jack Grealish. You wouldn't have had the speed of transfer, the ability of what they've done. But just think about Aston Villa. Went and got their business done quickly with Bailey, with Ings coming into the football club. Then got the Jack Grealish, knew it was coming. 100 million, we can do it, and we've moved on. Spurs, if they end up getting the money on the 31st of August, they can't spend it. So the team loses their best player. The team has no chance of growing, and it's like, there you go, Nuno, good luck with that. OK,
so Robbie Mustoe thinks he will be a Manchester City player on September the 1st. Yeah. You?
I think he'll be in the colours of Man City. I think the figures involved and the position of Harry Kane will drive this through, and I think Daniel Levy will take a deal in the end. OK, let's get the thoughts of Graham Lasso and Lee Dixon alongside Arlo White back in North London.
Rebecca, chaps, thank you very much indeed. This is a fascinating situation, chaps, isn't it? You know, Graham, he's 28 years of age. He is clearly one of the best strikers in the history of the Premier League. But Harry Kane hasn't won a single medal winner's medal in his entire career. It's as close to a guarantee of winning something, isn't it, joining Manchester City, as you could get in English football. Do you have some sympathy for him like Robbie Mustoe does?
Yeah, to an extent, of course, because you look at the professional achievements and the aspirations and your ability to go and win things, which ultimately you value when you finish the game. You know, yes, I did well financially. Yes, I had a fantastic career. But also on top of that, yes, I'm part of these elite clubs that have won things. And that group is a small group. But what it does do, it really shines a light on the transfer market and how complicated contracts are. Where I don't have any sympathy for him is he's signed a long-term contract with Tottenham. He accepted that contract. Whatever the terms of the contract are, it doesn't sound to me like there's a buyout clause like Jack Grealish has got. And if there's a buyout clause and you match it, the player goes. If that's not in the contract, that's not Daniel Levy's fault. So I've got sympathy for Harry Kane, of course, from a professional point of view. But I also think that there's going to be a power struggle between now and the end of the transfer window to how much he pushes the move and how much Daniel Levy uses that as leverage to get either the highest amount of money for him or, as David Ornstein was saying there, maybe just say, do you know what, you're our player, you've got another 3 years, let's have this conversation next year.
Is it 221 goals he scored for Tottenham? That in itself warrants a bit of loyalty from both sides. He wants to score more goals, he wants to win trophies. But look, what that gets you is a 6-year contract. So the club have done that for him. They've honoured that and gave him a huge amount of money, a 6-year deal. If you put pen to paper, I'm a little bit old school. You've got to kind of, OK, you've got to go with rock with the good times and the bad times. All of a sudden, Man City come knocking, and Graham's absolutely right, 100% right. Nobody's going to ask Harry Kane how big his boat is and how many houses he's got around the world. He's going to sit down when he retires, and he's going to look at that trophy cabinet, and he's going to go, if he doesn't move from Tottenham, they might win something, they might win a cup. They're not going to win the league for any time soon. Certainly, I would imagine in his, peak. I do think that from his footballing point of view, with his injury record, 2 years ago was the time to move for him. Now you're 2 years down the line and he's got these both these ankles are suspect, and there's no doubt about that. And I've had ankle injuries and he's had a really bad one. You very rarely get over that real intensity of a bad ankle, and he's going to have a few problems moving forward. So from a peak point of view, Man City's perfect for him right now, because there's no way Harry Kane's dropping into midfield if he's playing for Man City. He does that for Tottenham because of the way Tottenham play the game. Hang on a minute, Arlo, I haven't finished before you jump in. So it's important for him that he gets his football right, and that for him is moving to Man City. Unfortunately, he's got a 6-year deal on the table. And Daniel Levy's perfectly in his right, unless he said to Harry Kane, I will honour a gentleman's agreement and you can move in the summer for X amount. I don't believe that money and that promise has been made. It might have been made around about, oh, we'll let you go if the money's right. The money isn't right, so why should he sell him? And it's got to be in a contract. You can't have a gentleman's agreement with anyone without having it written down in a contract. The other thing that it shows up to me is the fact that we've got a transfer window, you mentioned it when you were speaking to David, that ends 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the season starts, which I think causes so many problems. Ridiculous. That's got to be put in line with the start of the season, so that players, when they kick their first ball for their club, they know. We don't know whether Harry Kane's going to play, be on the bench, be at the stadium or be at home. We don't know any of those things, and it's the first game of the season. More importantly, it messes our predictions up, because we don't know who's signing for which club before we have to make them. We certainly don't, and he'll be 29 by next summer with those injury problems that you talked about. Having said that, he just had his best season since 2017-18, so here is a player in his prime. We'll see what happens. That was the Boot Room, the first of the season. Many more to come, of course, and the fans are starting to gather.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and join us at the weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN for Premier League mornings, and sign up for Peacock Premium, where you'll have access to 175 exclusive live games all season long.